Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series Accidentally Adopted. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Part 5, Chapter 16, Casting. Dear Diary, the good news is that I sold every last available, sneaky. The bad news is that we ended up not having a match for dart walls after all. All in all, not a terrible day. But we didn't leave the embarkation level. Well, I said that we didn't leave. But really, I mean that none of the kids left the embarkation level. Well, us and some of the moms, most of the moms. Actually, come to think of it, anyone who isn't on Greg's defense team stuck to the embarkation level. Except Sausage, for some reason. Well, I guess that makes sense. Farsight Station has a kind of rough feeling to it. The bad news is nobody could get more materials at any kind of price that makes any sense. More of that rough feeling to this place. I think if I had the right contacts, I could get a fairer price. But as it is, they see an unfamiliar face and lash on a stranger upcharge. Greg said that that's a feature of places like this. That's the higher prices for strangers helps protect the locals from the fraudsters sailing in and passing off fake chits on them. Since if they do get tricked, they at least still have some stock to try and recoup with. I think it's depressing. We're not allowed out of the ship tomorrow. Yam and I are getting the vac suits and baby pods ready, just in case. Log 6,001.2.20. Personal, Captain Yormdrill. 2 days early. 2 days early, and from a gentle probing of the landers, it seems that we've managed to arrive ahead of our quarry. I handed Bick some full chits, and contract was work for passage, but I feel that the effort he put forth was worth more than passage. I also had the pleasure of informing him that if he wishes to continue pursuing an education as a ship's engineer, Wexlin is more than happy to take him on as a second apprentice. Of course, the lad has more than plenty of time to chart his course before we cast off. But I could see there was a heady offer. Though perhaps I should have waited. The recognition of his potential seems to have emboldened the poor boy beyond his capacity, as he confronted Gregory in the gymnasium while we were doing morning exercises. I don't see why I have to be left behind, he said gruffly, or rather squeaked as gruffly as he could manage. Because the station is a hotbed of criminal activity, and the embarkation deck is literally the only place that pretends to have law and order that isn't you obey the laws and orders of whoever has the biggest gun. It's not like I can't handle myself. I can bench nearly as much as you do. Have you ever killed? Yes. A person, not a local prey animal or a predator after your livestock? In a place like this, when things go sideways, they get scorched. You follow? They get profaned? Incorrect spelling. Jesus. Commanding an artillery battery. Commanding it to hit whichever twice voided son of the hull breach program that translation software. Gregory burst out with a sudden venom. And I suppose that I can see his point with finding analogies, rather than just translating something as a word profanity, especially with how fluently he swears. He took a calming breath and continued, Okay, so what I mean is when things go bad in a place like this, they go very, very bad, deadly bad, and I'd rather not risk you on account of you being the only one who can spot me without extending a grav belt. I understand that is a risk, Sneaky. I just think I could help. Gregory lifted his weights in silence for a few seconds, and I could see his tack changing before he asked, You don't mind the risk? I didn't say that. I said I'm willing to take it anyway. Witnessed. I will not deny your courage, but the best way I can think of for you to help is as bait. First, we know that the googly-eyed pirate is coming here, and is due to arrive tomorrow from a conveniently bribable hypercom technician. Second, we know that he has a very high opinion of himself from the cultist ship. Don't ask. Third, we know he wants me, or at least another specimen of my people for his pit fights. What you'll do is to go to the CD bars and start to claim that you have information on where Sneaky is going to be very soon. But you're not willing to sell the information to anyone who doesn't have experience with dangerous creatures. You will appear to be alone. You will not be alone. Does that courage hold? Bick gulped and nodded, unable to say anything aloud. Witnessed, Gregory said again, and finished his set before laying the weights aside and saying, I'll go put together an away team. Pops, you're not on it this time. I laughed at that and said, "We're much better prepared now, thanks to you. The wee thing needn't send her captain and first officer away again." "I wouldn't say that, sir. You and Uncle are still the best shots. So, if combat is a sure thing, then having your accuracy might be worth the risk." I nodded, and he left the gymnasium. I do not like being on the away team. It feels wrong to command from a place of safety, while my crew takes on a very real risk. We shall see tomorrow if the nets haul anything up. Journal entry 76, date 1/13/2, name Greg George. Well, Sausage's feedings and conservation are a pretty strong motivator. He screwed himself up to insist on joining the away team, and since I don't really have a protocol reason to refuse, I had to witness. Now, Sausage isn't a very superstitious kind of guy. Oh, he's furtive and hesitant and has his head on a swivel, but none of that is particularly great for moving through a crowd without drawing attention. He looked like exactly what he was, a civvy who's far, far out of his depth, which was perfect. I flagged no less than a dozen would-be muggers for SWAT dudes to nab before they got a chance to shake down my little buddy. One of the squiddies had an unfortunate and sudden neurological failure on account of he drew on Sausage from behind and was just going to murk his ass when a blade somehow went through his head. Funny thing that, it fit exactly into my mysteriously empty sheath, and the assaulted scum started studiously avoiding making anything that might be construed as a threatening move towards Sausage. By the third bar, he was nervously broaching this possibility of selling some information on the internet sensation Sneaky and his future whereabouts. They stopped just blowing him off and started offering to get him in touch with Beastmaster Sulvace for free. Now, Sausage thinks it was down to his macho aura that folks started taking him seriously. I don't have the heart to tell him that the repeated and sometimes fatal interventions between him and the local scum did more to convince them he was a big deal. The weird fecking thing is I feel on mission, but also kind of not. What the hell? Anyway, we got him home, and the SWAT dudes had a crap ton of independently confirmed intel that not only the googly-eyed feck docking tomorrow, but the word about Sausage has gotten around amongst the local shady dudes and scum. Everyone's pretty sure that someone has sent the fecker some hints. From the memoir, Beastmaster Sulvace. Despite the bosun flagging the worthless engineers, we made rotten bad time for Farsight. Such terrible time that a waterworm made it there ahead of us, and is apparently looking for me. For who else might have the expertise to capture and care for savage beasts than myself? The fool took official passage and is staying at the above-board dock. Well, that's one way for a new player to keep knives out of his back. If he is a fool, I think I'll invite him down to the real docks. End of chapter. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Dragzoon W.R.E, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, Jon Creighton, and Sevaren Serberous. Thank you very much.